All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get into a Goata stretch. So first, you gotta get into a hip flexor stretch position. So you need to stride your legs out, and then you lunge into that hip flexor. But while you're doing that, you wanna try to twist towards the knee, basically causing the hip to internally rotate while it is extending. And you can see that as I'm trying to rotate towards my right leg, I'm actually losing some of that extension just because the hip flexor is really tight. So as I'm rotating towards myself, I'm trying to get my ankle to move away from my body. My left ankle is actually going towards the left, right? And I'm just trying to really straighten out that line there and get those hip flexors to really relax into that extension, because that's what you want to do when you're running, walking, and correcting, your movement patterns. So you see, I'm lifting my knee off the floor and really pushing into that hip flexor while I'm trying to rotate. So now I'm gonna get the rope, right? I'm gonna put the rope on my foot, and now I can kind of try to connect those lines, from the hip flexor into the abdomen, and really get that back extension going, right? Really extend the chest up and try to create as much length from the hip flexor all the way up through my arms, right? And then there's one last part of this, which we're about to do right now. So I'm taking the rope and I'm just slinging it over my shoulder so I could bend my knee here, right? And now I'm gonna keep that knee bent, and again, I'm gonna start working that internal, external, right? The external, internal. This is external right here. This is internal. As I'm going internal, I'm making sure that my whole foot moves away from the body, right? Because I'm trying to work that internal rotation, extension of the hip. That's a movement that we've kind of lost in terms of our abilities. A lot of squatting, deadlifting, ballet, hip opening, yoga, it just really, really does a number on the hip flexors. And this is where it's at, right? This is how we're going to break up those adhesions and really release the leg for proper biomechanics. And this is the last one right here. Now I'm feeling kind of loose, so I'm really working that rotation here, really trying to get into that hip flexor and feel that rotation. So there, I'm done. Now we go on to the next leg. So here we go. You stride out, right? Stride into a kneeling hip flexor stretch. Then put your hand down on the floor and just work into it, right? Really rotate. And you can practice lifting up that back knee and really straightening out that back leg, right? So I'm rotating towards the knee. Trying to get internal rotation in the hip with extension. And really stretch out the hip flexors, the TFL, tensor fasciae lata, and everything that's just in front of the hip, stopping it from being able to do that proper Goata movement, right? So this is my tighter leg, so I might be moving a little slower on this side. And it's really important to focus on whichever leg is the worst. Like my problem is my right leg, because I had injuries, collapsing my ankle, and that caused my hip flexors to tighten up. So now that my hip flexors open again, I need to really start training the ankle and the foot a little bit more on that right side, but with time, right? So this is the next part. You put the strap on your foot, and then you just reach and stretch up and really accentuate that line you see from my knee all the way to my chest. And now I'm really getting into a little bit of that rotation and just really working that internal, external into extension. Just massaging the muscle, massaging the range of movement, massaging the entire movement that I want to create in my hips. So here we're gonna bend the knee, and this is where a lot of people start to wimp out because, oh my God, I've never stretched my quads before. Yeah, right, okay, so you have to stretch your quads in order for it not to hurt, right? So this is it. And the rope helps really, really good with this, because now you don't have to worry about holding your foot. You can just sling the rope over your shoulder. And again, side to side, right? You're going towards that left leg and trying to get the heel to move away from the body. Boom. And I don't think this leg is as good as the other one. I think this one is a little bit tighter than my left leg, because this is the one that doesn't want to do what I want it to do. So we're just working on it, right? And now after you've had enough of that, you really straighten out the leg and go for a little bit of momentum and power, explosiveness. Just really practice that wiggling, right? You see the spinal engine moving side to side with the internal, external rotation here. And that's that. Boom. And we are done with that stretch. On to the next one.